While it's not yet been rubber-stamped by the club, all roads seem to lead to Russell Martin becoming the next manager of Rangers. The former Southampton boss, known for his modern possession-based football and clear tactical identity, has been in advanced talks with the club, and preparations for his arrival are already gaining pace behind the scenes at Ibrox. This is not a man who operates in isolation. Wherever he's gone, he's brought trusted allies with him, from coaches to analysts and in some cases even players. So it's no surprise that a full-scale backroom rebuild is expected if and when Martin is confirmed as a new boss. Rangers are standing at the edge of a new era, and with Martin seemingly set to take the reins, attention is already turning to who he might bring with him. Not just to the dugout, but possibly to the pitch as well. His style, which mixes structured build-up play with fluid transitions, requires a certain kind of player and backroom dynamic. His past appointments give us a few clues. Names like Matt Gill, who's followed Martin from Swansea to Southampton, are strongly tipped to join him again. There's also Maurice Ross, no stranger to Rangers fans after his years as a player, who may return in a new coaching role after forging a strong professional bond with Martin during their coaching license journey. Dean Thornton, who's been Martin's goalkeeping coach across 3 clubs, looks like another likely addition. And then there are the data analysts and sports science staff that Martin trusts deeply, Ben Parker and Ree Owen among them. But while the managerial announcement is just one part of the equation, it's already impacting the club's transfer plans. Midfielder Mohamed Diomande has emerged as one of the hottest properties in Scottish football. The young Ivorian, after an impressive season with 36 league appearances, has reportedly caught the eye of several Premier League sides, with Everton leading the chase. The Merseyside club has kept close tabs on Diamande for months and is expected to push aggressively in the upcoming transfer window. The player's mix of stamina, vision, and technical flair makes him a rare gem in the Rangers midfield. His stats don't lie. 4 goals and 7 assists last season underline both his productivity and adaptability. He's comfortable sitting deep and orchestrating the tempo, but equally capable of surging forward and impacting the game in the final third. However, Rangers are not exactly in a rush to cash in. The club hierarchy values Diamande highly, and any sale would demand a hefty fee. Figures as high as £20 million have been floated. That would be a massive financial injection for a Scottish club, and one that could fundamentally alter Rangers' strategy for the summer. Historically, Rangers have struggled to command major fees for their top talents, so this could be a pivotal moment. But the final decision on Diamande may ultimately rest with whoever takes over in the dugout. With Martin likely to be that man, his opinion could shape whether the club fights to keep their midfield dynamo or accepts a windfall and reinvests elsewhere. There's also the matter of how the new manager wants to build his squad. Martin, during his time at Southampton and Swansea, showed a clear preference for technically sound, versatile players, those comfortable in tight spaces and capable of contributing to possession phases. Diamande fits that profile well, which might tempt Martin to make keeping him a priority. But with interest from as many as 5 Premier League clubs, including teams who can offer both higher wages and the lure of England's top flight keeping, hold of him may prove tricky. If Rangers do sell, the hope will be that they reinvest smartly, perhaps in a creative number 10 or a clinical striker, both of which are seen as key gaps in the current squad. Speaking of attackers, another big name is in the spotlight. Czech forward Abdallah Sima, who had a standout loan spell at Ibrox but appears unlikely to return permanently. Despite netting 18 goals and adding 9 assists in all competitions, Sima has hinted that his time in Glasgow may be over. While on international duty, he expressed regret over not winning silverware with Rangers, despite a season filled with personal highs and a strong connection with the supporters. His parent club, Wolfsburg, are reportedly demanding around £9 million for a permanent transfer, figure that seems to have put off the Ibrox board for now. Sima, for his part, says he has no idea where he'll be playing next season. He's due back at Wolfsburg, where he still has 2 years left on his contract, but the club is currently without a permanent head coach. That uncertainty adds another layer to his situation. Martin's potential arrival could also reopen the sheet. Our data for a deal that fell through in the final days of the last transfer window. The loan signing of winger Samuel Edozie. The young wide man was expected to join Rangers, but remained at Southampton, eventually heading to Belgium for a loan spell. Martin has publicly spoken about monitoring Edozie's development and maintains that the player is still very much in his plans. If the new manager does land the Ibrox job, it's not out of the question that he could revive that interest and finally bring Edozie north of the border. Rangers have lacked consistent width and pace in recent seasons, and Edozie could offer just that if he can find his form. There's a sense now that the dominoes are starting to fall. The club's recent takeover by a US consortium led by new chairman Andrew Kavanagh has accelerated the push for a long-term project and strategic vision. Martin, with his reputation for building identity and nurturing young talent, fits the mold. But it's not just about tactics or philosophy, it's about results. Rangers fans are desperate to see their club knock Celtic off the top of the Premiership and make a real impact in Europe. That won't happen overnight, but the right managerial appointment coupled with smart recruitment can lay the foundation. At the same time, there's pressure. Martin's last job ended with Southampton rock bottom of the Premier League, and while there were mitigating factors including player sales and boardroom instability, it's not a glowing endorsement. Still, his work at MK Dons and Swansea won praise for the quality of football on display, even if results were inconsistent. His ability to develop players and instill a clear structure is exactly what Rangers need at this transitional moment. But as always in football, words and intentions mean little without execution. The board must back the manager, and the manager must deliver quickly. Martin's familiarity with the British game, especially the Scottish scene from his time as a player, could prove valuable. He understands the expectations, the media glare, and the unique pressures of managing a club like Rangers. But none of that will shield him from criticism if things go south. This is Glasgow. This is Ibrox. The demand is always for trophies, for dominance, and for pride. Anything less than patience quickly wears thin. Still, this could be the perfect moment for a reset. A new manager, a fresh coaching staff, a potentially massive transfer fee on the horizon, and the backing of new owners. If Rangers play their cards right, they could not only rebuild but reimagine the way the club operates. The question now is simple. Can Russell Martin be the man to lead that charge? The signs are pointing to yes. But the next few weeks will tell us everything. Another intriguing thread in this unfolding story is how the US consortium, now in charge of Rangers, views the Martin appointment. For all their ambitions and business acumen, they need a manager who can align with their long-term objectives without losing sight of the immediacy of Scottish football, a league where patience is thin and success is measured in silverware, not just development curves. Russell Martin, if he does take the job, walks a tightrope, bring identity and structure to the club, but also deliver results fast. There's no room for a season of transition. The fans won't accept it, and the shadow cast by Celtic's domestic dominance only adds fuel to that fire. Martin's coaching style is demanding. It's not just about possession for the sake of it. He asks his teams to be brave, to build from the back, under pressure, to control games with purpose. That kind of approach needs buy-in from players, and crucially the right personnel. It's one thing to preach high-tempo technical football. It's another to implement it with a squad built by someone else. That's why Rangers are expected to be very active in the transfer market this summer. The shape of the squad will likely shift to reflect Martin's preferences, especially in key areas like central defense, fullback, and midfield. His past sides have leaned on centre-backs who are comfortable stepping into midfield and fullbacks who almost act like midfielders in possession. And that brings us to the critical question: who stays, who goes, and who comes in players like Diamande? As already mentioned, could be at the center of transfer drama. But there are others whose futures remain in flux. Todd Cantwell, for instance, who arrived with much promise, hasn't quite hit the heights expected. Under Martin's guidance, there's potential for rejuvenation, but also the risk of being sidelined if the system doesn't suit. Similarly, guys like Borna Barisic and James Tavernier will be under scrutiny. Both have been long-serving figures at Ibrox, but their suitability for a modern, high-pressing, possession-based style is debatable. Are they too set in their ways? Or can they adapt? That question alone could define the early months of Martin's tenure. And let's not forget the academy. One thing Martin has been praised for at previous clubs is his willingness to trust youth. At both Swansea and Southampton, he gave chances to players from the youth system, often accelerating their development by placing them in high-pressure situations. Rangers, with a strong tradition of developing talent, could benefit massively from this. The likes of Alex Lowry and Zach Lovelace might suddenly find themselves with real first-team minutes, not just cup cameos. That could be a game changer in terms of squad depth and long-term value creation. Of course, youth integration only works if the senior squad provides the right balance. If Diomande leaves, Rangers must reinvest wisely, not just in one replacement, but in building out a midfield that can function across multiple competitions. Europe remains a huge ambition for the club, and with coefficient points becoming more important, there's pressure to perform not just domestically, but also against continental opposition. Martin's European track record is limited, but his tactical flexibility could prove valuable in two-legged ties where game management is critical. Looking back, the way the club handled past transfer windows shows they're not afraid to take risks, but that strategy has yielded mixed results. From blockbuster arrivals who didn't deliver to late window signings who were never truly integrated, the need for a clear, coherent plan has never been greater. If Martin gets the job this summer, will be his opportunity to shape that plan. But again, that means the board needs to support him, both financially and with a degree of trust. You can't demand instant results while asking a manager to revolutionize the footballing philosophy of a club overnight. That contradiction has doomed many projects before in Glasgow and beyond. And it's not just about players and tactics. The atmosphere around the club is shifting. The arrival of a new ownership group brings new expectations, new ideas, and likely new scrutiny. The fans are watching closely. They want transparency, they want ambition, but above all, they want to believe. After years of chasing shadows in the league and coming close but falling short in Europe, this feels like a moment where Rangers could redefine themselves. But it hinges on getting the next few moves right. Manager signing structure, everything has to align. One wild card in all of this could be how Martin handles the pressure. Managing in Scotland, especially at Rangers, is not for the faint-hearted. Every word is dissected, every lineup questioned, every substitution second-guessed. Add to that the fiery nature of the old firm rivalry, and you've got one of the most intense jobs in football. Martin's calm demeanor might help, but make no mistake, the job will test him in ways he's never experienced before. And while he may have played in Scotland, managing Rangers is an entirely different beast. But it's also an opportunity for Martin, for the players, for the club. An opportunity to reset expectations, to take bold decisions, and to build something lasting. If he can do that while delivering short-term results, he could become a transformative figure. If not, well, Glasgow remembers everything. There's also an emotional component to consider. Football is built on connection between manager and players, and fans club and community. If Martin is to succeed, he has to understand that. He has to build trust in the dressing room and belief in the stands. His communication, his authenticity, his ability to represent what Rangers stand for. Those are as important as any tactical tweak. And that's why figures like Maurice Ross might be so crucial. Not just because they bring coaching acumen, but because they understand what Rangers means to people. That emotional intelligence could be the difference between a coach who survives and one who thrives. The transfer links will continue, the speculation won't stop. But in the midst of all this, the real story is just beginning. If the appointment of Russell Martin goes through, it will mark a new chapter, not just for him, but for Rangers as a club. A chapter that promises change, demands patience, and requires belief. The stage is being set. Now it's just a matter of time before the first act begins. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. There's a palpable buzz rippling through Govan this week, as whispers grow louder regarding a sensational move that could reshape the very fabric of Scottish football. David Ancelotti, son of the legendary Carlo Ancelotti and widely regarded as one of the sharpest young minds in European coaching, is being linked, albeit tentatively, with the Rangers managerial post. While there's been no official confirmation, nor even a concrete statement from the club, the rumor mill has gone into overdrive. sparked by apparent sightings of Ancelotti Jr. in Glasgow and reports from the continent suggesting he's keen to take his first full managerial role away from the shadows of his father. Some say he's been spotted near the Ibrox corridors, while others claim it's nothing more than fanciful hearsay. The Rangers faithful are caught somewhere between disbelief and excitement, for a fan base still nursing wounds from a tumultuous season. The prospect of such a high-profile continental figure taking the reins is both thrilling and perplexing. Ancelotti, known for his calm demeanor and tactical acumen honed alongside his father at clubs like Real Madrid, Napoli, and Everton, would represent a significant shift from the traditional managerial profiles often favored in Scotland's top flight. Skeptics argue that Scottish football's unique demands might prove a tough baptism for Ancelotti Jr., who has yet to prove himself as the leading man. But supporters of the move counter that his pedigree and experience at the highest echelons of European football could inject fresh ideas and much-needed glamour into the Scottish Premiership. No doubt, if the whispers bear any truth, the board at Rangers is keeping things tightly under wraps, perhaps wary of stirring the pot too soon. But in pubs from Partick to Paisley, the talk is growing. Could the son of a Champions League legend really be about to call Ibrox home? Only time will tell whether this is mere smoke with no fire or the dawn of a bold new era for the Light Blues. For now, all eyes remain fixed on the marble staircase, waiting for any sign of what might be one of the most intriguing appointments in recent Scottish football memory. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.